Seekers of Truth Wellness Collaborative in Boise, Idaho. Here pulling together our third session on topic of resolution for the tribe. We've had some time off in between and illnesses back and forth and all kinds of stuff going on. So hoping that everybody's getting out of all that mess right now, wherever you are, that you're taking care of yourselves there. So resolution, we talked about from the get-go, was all the concept of having an idea and resolving to actually do it. So in the first session, we talked about some different things that we could do, like go talk to a neighbor, or a neighbor that we didn't know yet, or take some time for ourselves, or any of those different kind of things. Trying to take action on the topics that we started talking about: harmony, faith, bliss, putting those into action. That's more of what resolution was really all about, doing that in that kind of an aspect. And then in session 2, I talked about how it went when I talked to my neighbor across the street, just hey, how you doing, kind of a thing. He sort of thought maybe I was a salesman or something walking up, but I was dressed for lodge, so I sort of had the suit and everything on, so I don't know if he thought I was trying to sell him something, but conversation went well, and we just did that, and just had a continual idea of how I can do things more focused, especially as it related to lodge. And I talked about that, about really working on the pieces that I'm going to be doing for others to see, just making that resolution to take that time to make that solid so that they can follow in that aspect as well when they start doing those things. And then session 2 also had some tips, if you will, on keeping to your resolutions. And mainly essentially like giving yourself some grace that if it doesn't work out in the time you allotted, keep trying, keep plugging away, those different kind of things. And it's not like a New Year's resolution to go to the gym. That's not what we're talking about at all. Talking about something that could have some kind of substantial effect for others beyond ourselves. So the quote up here on the board, on the monitor, if you will, I call it Facebook wisdom because somebody posted it on Facebook. So we just felt like a good starting point for today. Your terrible job is the dream of the unemployed. Your house is the dream of the homeless. Your smile is the dream of the depressed. Your health is the dream of the ill. Don't let difficult times make you forget your blessings. And when I saw that, I sort of liked that and sort of made it fit into this idea for session 3 here, just because that thing that we all run into, these little obstacles, but maybe it could be worse, is what I was thinking about on that when I saw that. And then what do you do when you hit those roadblocks? Do you lay down? Or do you determine that, no, you're not going to just roll over, you're going to keep moving forward, right? We hope. And maybe that's what resolution can do for us, build up that resolve inside, that kind of a real peace that we feel that we need to express those ideas moving forward. Again, beyond ourselves. But these things here sort of goes along with how we started in the very beginning. If you've got harmony within yourself, if you've got bliss, these things, a job, a house, good health, you've got these things in your pocket, you should be able to do for others and help for others in whatever fashion that means. It doesn't mean go and help people right off the street necessarily, but something around your neighborhood, something in a community group, something with a school, whatever, those different kind of things, however we impact them. I don't think we have to really search out opportunities to do good. Oh, I hate this thing. All right. So, if you see on the screen up there, again, I'll post all of these in a separate video. But what I've decided to do also is pull back and make those direct connections again. So, first takeaway from this idea of resolution, each of us can set a course that improves ourselves while also benefiting our community. And this directly connects to harmony and what we were talking about for those 3 sessions, those couple of months back when all this started. Having that built up and then being able to do for others whatever that community is. If it's work, life, play, home, softball team, whatever the case may be. There we go. Second takeaway, each of us can choose the way our life plays out. We can choose daily how it will play out. And this is bliss, and going back to that quote of, finding our bliss, living our bliss, those different kinds of ideas. And I think this is a big one for a lot of people because they feel like they don't have a choice. But I would argue that ultimately we all have a choice. It may not be a good choice, but we do have a choice. And the third, each of us can know our place in our community as well as the world. And this went back to that topic of faith, that nebulous term that could mean so many different kind of things. But a key component of that was knowing our place. We can determine who we are and where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be helping out with in that kind of a fashion. We can have that setup, that structure, whether it is a faith that gives it to us, if it's an internal drive that we have faith in ourselves to be able to do that. I remember back to when we were here and Alejandro was here and getting his input onto those things from a very Eastern-focused mindset, because the amount of time that he spent, or spends, I should say, over in the Far East and working with the people that he works with, those different perspectives there. And I would think that he would very much agree that we can all know our place and that we're not just drifting out lonely. So ultimately, for this topic of resolution, can is the driving force. Can is the center of everything. Can is not must. Can is not will. Can is not should or should not. Very different terms. Can is the driving force as it is an agent of choice. It's that piece that I feel is within our hands. It is our choice to do this thing or not. The resolutions we make and act upon can create change on many levels. We know that. They filter out. When we do one thing for a neighbor and they do something either back for us or for another neighbor or for a community as a whole, however that case may be, we can all reference memories of things like that, of seeing things trickle together there. The impact might be small or never acknowledged, but that does not mean it's not worth doing. That gets us away from the ego and always wanting acknowledgement for the things that we do. And I think that really helps it to formulate out. It's very similar to the image I created for the flyers for the events for resolution, sitting there on the top of the mountaintop, looking out, thinking the thoughts that we've all had at different times, possibly. Getting up to the top of that mountain, that takes a resolution, but it also takes a can, right? I can do this, I can do that. Not that we should, shouldn't, or any of that kind of stuff, because those terms to me are just, they're just too wishy-washy. It needs to be something much more focused. And not that we have to do it alone either. We get help from others, not completely on our own backs. So if I go back here real quick, does that sort of make sense there about the word can and the difference?
Yeah, if you're able to. Nobody's telling you you have to or you cannot do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the choice.
Yeah. And, I mean, able, even that's in a subjective term now. So much is online. There's so much that people could do to help others. And, you know, even if they're homebound or something, I think they could do things to inspire others and fix those different kind of things. So when we start looking into the final topic, that of freedom, it's not like freedom that we have in this country or in that country. It's with ourselves. And without this fourth step, moving everything into that acknowledgement of can, we can't get there. We have to know that we can create change, that we can do the thing we want to do. We can have the life we want to have. Is it going to happen overnight? No. Is it a better life than you had in the past? Maybe. Is it better than your neighbors? Is it better, you know, all those different kind of things. I think that's where people get tripped up. And I don't know about you, but I remember just when I was younger, in the late 90s and early 2000s, all the self-help stuff that was out there. And it made it sound like it was going to happen overnight, right? And not to be cynical, but I think that's a great way to sell books, you know. But maybe they sell, you know, 1 million copies in the beginning, but nobody buys their second book because none of their stuff worked. Because it was all overnight success. This, that, and the other thing we have. Even worse now, we have a society that is so at the second, I need it, need it, need it. Amazon it. You know, I need everything. As soon as I see it, I want it. And we've provided that. So it makes it hard. This is hard work. And it shouldn't be. You know, sitting there having the time to just digest a thought for a second before leaping into, you know, action or a purchase or anything like that should not be that difficult. But I just don't think that people want to do that. I don't know how some people, you know, do their daily lives without a little bit of know-how on the inside, you know. But maybe I'm crazy.
Man, I think you just keep your head down. Do the right thing.
And that could, you know, those right things, even if it's just within your house, that trickles out too. And I think that's the thing.
It has to.
Yeah, people don't see it. They don't understand. You're making right choices and it doesn't impact others. So then it's a good thing, right? It's just, you know, the way that it just seems that it would be that self-evident. But I don't know what it is, if it's just the ego or the push, you know, like you said, keep your head down and do right, but, you know, oftentimes that almost goes along with the same thing of taking a second to think. I think people just gut a lot of stuff. May not always be the best of responses.
Yeah. Well, it's like on that slide, if you're not worried about taking credit or acknowledgement, yeah, it just takes that out of the equation. So, yeah, just keep plugging away.
Yeah. And it's weird because it's hard to formulate ideas sometimes on it. I think because it seems so simple. But it's like, you know, I would love to have the impact of some of these huge humanitarian organizations or something like that. Of course I would, but do I also want to be that person out in the front and eventually it becomes more about you than it does the cause that you are working for because we're fallible as it is.
Seems like it often devolves into that.
Yeah. We don't need, you know, to have that. Every action needs their figurehead. Every group needs their spokesperson. We know that. But all the other things that we do, all the tiny little things that we decide that we're going to do, I think really can make an impact and improve lives of people we're never going to meet. We're never going to see. We're never going to understand, you know, how that works out. You know, how that interview we did, how that idea we created. You know, I spent 20 years in the classroom, and you know, every so often I'd get emails or something like that from former students, and they would talk about, you know, the impact on this or that, and I'd have to like take a long time to first of all remember them. Mm-hmm. You know, if you multiply teaching in multiple schools in different states over 20 years times the amount of students, you know, that's a ton of faces to run through and around. But they remember you. You know, it's like that touch being out there, you know, working that, whatever that idea was, that concept was, you know, and then they get that application and they understand it, they move it forward and go on about it in their own lives. You know, I've had that on emails and in person too, just going around town, you know, seeing students here or there, or I got a delivery at the house and it was a guy I used to train at one of the gyms. You know, and he's like, we're talking and stuff, and he's like, you know, thanking me back and forth, and just, you know, for the willingness to work with him, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and the way that we, you know, ran things there, you know, really he felt gave him the tools to do the things he's now doing, right, in his family, in his job, and stuff like that. So it's just, you know, and never knowing. So knowing those pieces that I've picked up, there's got to be a ton more out there of impact, you know, of these things. And I'm never going to know, but I don't need to know either, you know.
Right.
Because if I needed to know, then it would be a completely different, you know, kind of a creature. So, again, resolution is resolving to do something or some things in an aspect that's going to be this change, this action piece, this word that's going to help us to do things in that kind of an aspect. And I hope that when we get to the end of freedom, we really see how all of these concepts come together, and then that will help it to be its own little piece, and then, you know, this can evolve again into another discussion, a further point on these things and how they work together. You know, maybe it evolves into something where the tribe moves and it, you know, joins in with another group, and it decides to have these interactions back and forth with others, you know, outside of just a general open invite, but literally going into different kinds of meetings and finding out what's going on here or there, what people are talking about, you know. and then getting a voice in that aspect as well. So it's all going to determine, on the next couple of steps and how things go. But this is something that I think is worth spending a little bit of time on, and just going to keep doing it. So appreciate you for coming out, as always, and those of you at home checking out the videos, if you have a question, comment, something I should take a look at, something I should read, send those along as well. Let me know your thoughts, what's going on out there as it relates to these key tenets that we've created here at the tribe. So have a great rest of your weekend.